Welcome back to my new video. In this video I will be rebuilding the Limitless V2 front and rear differentials, or to be more precise, the GP5s. The Limitless came as a roller, they all do, and the differentials are filled up with 10,000 weight. For my taste, that's a little bit too thin, so I'm going to put 20 million in there to really lock it up, because the more locked up your differential is, the easier it is to drive in a straight line. I filled up the slash with 2 million and it works pretty good, but the Limitless is a little bit bigger, so the bigger the car, the thicker you want to fill the differentials to have the same effect. 2 million will probably work for the Limitless, but hey, why not 20 million? So, the Limitless came as a roller, all the parts are new. I took the diffs apart, I degreased it, they are completely clean, also never used, and now it's time to rebuild them. So I've got all the parts lined up neatly, so these are all the parts in the order that I need to put them in the differential. So when you normally fill up a differential, you want to fill it up without air inside to have the best effect. And for that, you fill the differential partially, give it time for the differential fluid to sink down. But this 20 million is just so thick, well, you can wait ages for it to sink down, but it won't happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm just gonna fill up the differential. I'm gonna give it a little push to fill it up, to get as much in there as possible, and then just close the differential. Because yeah, you can wait days, maybe even weeks for this to settle down. Yeah. So let's just begin. Put this shim on there, put the bearing in there, put the bearing on the diff housing, put that in there, and then a rubber seal. When your fingers are a little bit too big, you can use some tools to gently put the seal in position. Make sure you don't damage the seal. Then put a shim over there, and then for the pin, like so. Then put the first gear in. Now, time for the second one. Again, make sure you don't damage the seal. Put the shim on top of the seal. Like so. Put the first gear in there. Like so. When you are rebuilding your differentials, make sure that the bearings that you use are in good condition. Because if you don't, and you have to exchange the bearings, you have to take the differential apart. Now let's cram some 20 million in there. And why do I do this? Because in this way I can make sure that I have some differential fluid all the way down beneath, and then when I put the spider gears in there with the cross pins, I can press it down pretty hard so that the differential fluid can spread evenly. So now for the cross pins, put the spider gear on there, put the shim on there, then this, that locks it into position in the diff housing. Do that on both sides. Make sure when you put these in there that you mount them with the flat side against the shim, like so. When you put the spider gears in, make sure that the alignment of these is in this position, that the flat side is on top. Then when you place the second set of spider gears, then make sure that the cross pin, which has this small nudge in there, is facing upwards for the first cross pin that you put in there. And then for the second one, it is pointed downwards. That way these can interlock, because if they don't, you won't be able to close the differentials, because the second set of spider gears is not pushed in downwards far enough. So make sure you align the nudges correctly. And then push the spider gears down gently. As you can see, the differential fluid is all the way down there. It is spread out evenly, because that's what you want. And when you have this thick of a differential fluid, it won't get there by itself, so you have to help it a little bit. And the good thing about 20 million weight is that it is not so thin that it runs out, so when your diff is falling over, you won't have to worry about the differential fluid spilling everywhere. So I'm just gonna let that be. And this one has the differential fluid spread out evenly also. Now for the main gear, let's put the bearing on there. And then the seal. Then the shim. Put the little pin on there. And the final gear. And the final gear. So now I'm going to fill up the differential. Not completely, because when you close the differential, there needs to be space for this gear to be fitted in. And if you fill up the differential too much, there's a chance the pressure inside the differential is rising when you're driving, and it is going to come out through the seals. And when that happens, there's a chance you damage the seal on both sides. You don't want that, so make sure you don't overfill your differential. So the good thing about this 20 million is that you don't have to wait for the differential fluid to sink down all the way, because you can just press it with your finger And if you do so, and if the differential is too full, the 20 million weight is going to come up on the sides, and that way you make sure that there's no air in there. So when you press it, you can see on the sides that the diff fluid is coming out, which means the diff is completely filled up. There are no air pockets in there. And now it is key to make sure that the differential is not too full, because there still needs to be place for this gear. And I think it's a little bit too full. I don't know if you can see it on camera. But there's a little dent in the fluid level. I think it's a little bit too full, so I'm going to take a little bit out of there. That seems to be better. It was just a little bit, but once again, I don't want to overfill the differential. When you place the seals on the gears, make sure that the holes in the seal are lined up with the holes in the gear, because if they don't, and you want to try to put the screws through, you're going to break the seal, and when you break the seal, the differential is going to leak. You're going to lose differential fluid, and then the differential will be more loose, which renders filling it with 20 million useless. So make sure the holes of the seal are aligned correctly. Let's check if they are filled up evenly. That looks quite nice. You can still see my fingerprints on the differential fluid, indicating how thick that it is. Now for the final step, you need to make sure that when you put the differential or the planetary gear on there, you want it to sit flat on the differential and not sideways, like so. So when you fasten it, you are going to fasten the screw in a cross. Make sure the holes are aligned correctly. It can be a bit tricky with this type of seal. Oh, the gear is stuck in there. Well, now you can see when you put the gear in there, when you have this final gear in there, that the top of the differential fluid is equal to the top of the diff, which means it is filled up neatly. Well, it doesn't work like that. You have to put the seal in the gear and then put that on the differential. Again, make sure that all the holes are aligned correctly, so you won't break the seal. what I have done is I have fastened the screws for like 95%. Now I'm going to fasten them for fully 100% in a cross order to make sure that the spider gear is set on there evenly. And make sure you don't over tighten the screws. And then for the final round I'm going clockwise, checking if all the screws are tightened evenly. Now for the second diff. Yes. And now let's check how it feels. Oh wow, that is really locked up. But you have to feel if it is running smoothly inside, if all the gears are set correctly within each other. Because if they aren't, you are going to break your spider gears, your cross pins, probably your differential housing, and maybe even the planetary gear with its pinion gear. Yeah, but that is locked up pretty tight. Yeah. And that is how you rebuild the GP5 diffs. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something in this video, and I'll see you in the next one.